Hey, this is Dominic D'Angelo from WrestleZone.com, and I am here with Dan St Germain. He's about
Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me,
thanks,
man.
Dude. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So it's been quite the weekend starting off already.
It's been crazy.
Yeah.
I have 7 pages of Ric Flair jokes if anyone wants to buy them from me.
Put it in a script or do a memoir kind of
Oh
book
my
thing.
God.
Talk about that a little bit. Like, when you heard about the whole process, like just going on and like.
I mean, of course, it's good. He's doing better now.
Absolutely.
So hopefully, this health still continues. But we found out last week there was a problem, and then Monday we had the official. I offered. I was like, they need to like airlift like Vince Russo in one of those raptor cages and just put him on fucking stage, and then we can make fun of him. Yeah. I think we should have thrown like $100,000 or something at bringing Vince Russo here or something.
That would be.
Or try to, I don't know, resurrect Benoit. I have no idea, but obviously, we're glad that Ric's better, and I had a bunch of jokes though. I'm gonna do them on my podcast, Total F and Marks on the All Things Comedy Network. This is my co-host, Scott Chaplin.
What's up, man?
Good to see you, Scott.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. So what? Going into it and like learning about like Flair kind of canceling out and stuff like that. How did it kind of come to be like? Did you think that they were going to figure a replacement for that, or was it going to be like?
The one thing I talked to Conrad about, I don't know if there's no replacement for Ric Flair.
Yeah.
There's none at all. There's really, even I say Vince Russo, that's not a replacement unless I don't know. I guess you got to really throw vegetables at him or something. Yeah. I don't think there's a replacement for Ric Flair. So I don't know. I can't think. The only person that would come close would be Vince, but Vince would never put himself in that position.
Yeah.
Would you agree, Scott?
Vince
McMahon.
Oh yeah.
Is there anyone besides Rick though and Vince? Do you think that would be on that level?
That would make this crowd happy? I mean, I think Stone Cold doing anything involved.
Stone Cold,
near AEW would make people freak out. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you had Vince Russo's, I think, an excellent choice. Like from a comedic standpoint, or from just a fan standpoint.
Right.
Who would you like to roast?
Vince.
Yeah.
100%. That's the wrestling movie that needs to be made. That's the book that needs to be written. I mean, he is the guy. He's the closest we have to P.T. Barnum. He's wrestling's God for good and for worse. Old Testament, New Testament. Right. He sets the stage, man. You either hate him or love him. So he's the guy.
How about you?
Everything he said, but with David Arquette. Seriously. I had to write for the roast, and my Arquette stuff was my favorite.
Sure.
And
do you have one?
Do I have an Arquette joke?
Yeah. We can do him on the podcast
let's
too.
Look him up. Yeah. Well,
we'll do. But there's going to be a podcast link to this, and we're going to do all our roast jokes on the podcast, so you guys can listen to them.
That's the thing I liked about the last year's too, is it was a good mixture of the talent and the comedians all in together. Right. And talk about that kind of experience when.
Well, the crazy thing is we got there last year, and Scott was there last year too. It was in Chicago. And I think first of all the wrestlers were great sports. Everybody, Bischoff was awesome, Jarrett was awesome, Bruce and Conrad were awesome. But I think the one thing that we got there, and I don't think some of them didn't know what a roast was. So it was 10 minutes beforehand, and Bischoff is like, I'm like, oh, do you have your jokes? And he goes, oh, you're ribbing me? And I'm like, no, I'm not ribbing you. And then I had a weird experience because I think Nash was supposed to do it, and then he kind of pulled out. But I got into the main lobby when I first got in. I saw MJF, and I was like, hey, man, and I knew him from MLW because I know Joey Janela was lost in spring break where I did some commentary, and I totally fucked it up. I'll tell you that story. Yeah. But I said hi to MJF, and he's like, go fuck yourself. And he walks off, and I'm like, oh, he's living his gimmick. This is so cool. I just got worked. I'm such a fucking mark. But then I went up to Nash, and I was like, hey, man, see the roast tonight. And he's like, roast? I'm not doing any roast. I'm like, he's working me. And then I go backstage, and they're like, no, Nash isn't doing it.
He's not here.
I was like, oh, that was a shoot.
Yeah, I had one wrestler who was doing the roast last year tell me, all right, I just don't want to say anything mean to him.
That's it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
You got to avoid that. How long of a process does it take to get that?
Flair's different than Pritchard because Flair, I think Pritchard is more of a heat magnet, and Pritchard himself would say that.
Yeah.
So, and I think Pritchard could take it better than almost anybody else, and he, relishes that role. But Flair is, the best of all time.
Right.
So it's tougher to roast a guy who's the best of all time.
Really, really good at what he does.
Yeah, he's like, like as much as, and believe me, if you go on his Wikipedia page, there's enough for fucking 7 roasts. But there's nobody else who can do what he does, and there's nobody close. So I mean that was the difference, I think, with writing. And unfortunately, we weren't able to. But we will tell you the jokes of this. It was harder to do jokes about him because he's truly great. Yeah. It's like Jordan or something.
Yeah. And the thing is about Flair, he seems like the type of personality that would take it all in good stride too and get a huge kick out of that stuff.
Yeah. You hope so.
Yeah,
that's
right?
I mean, that's the thing that you get nervous about. And we were nervous about last year. I was like, some of these guys still have the ability to kick the shit out of you. Like most of them do.
Yeah.
Like, I can take some of the fans that come to the convention, but that's about it.
Yeah.
I'm still a fat guy with like a shitty ponytail. So.
Well, with how it goes in regards to like just the process of a StarCast weekend and getting to interact with all the wrestlers as well as like the fans and like just for yourself as a fan, like explain like what you kind of enjoy the most, just like from a pure fan standpoint.
Guy, you want to take this?
My favorite thing about a thing like StarCast, even just a second ago, I got to see Jungle Boy and all this young talent who you could see it in their eyes. They're freaking out. It's like just like the fans are, and they're just as shocked that Jerry Lynn is down the hall as we are. And there's something really cool about seeing that build and knowing that in years to come, they're going to be the guys that everybody's excited to see. Yeah. So that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry Lynn, it was crazy. We just met him. He's like one of my, him and his Masters RVD are some of my favorite matches ever, and he's just like the nicest guy ever. And it's good, like for me doing this Pritchard roast, and now this, it's kind of a second chance of redemption because I got asked to do commentary for Lost in New York, Joey Janela's thing, and I fucked it up so bad.
Yeah.
Like, because I was supposed to announce this match between it was like Teddy Hart and something else. I forget. It's somebody else, and I forget who the other guy is. And Sandman had just done a spot where he had drank a beer, and before I went on stage, they told me, don't mention Sabu, he's the big surprise of the night. So I was doing commentary, and I said, hey, if you want to get a drink, Sandman's by the bar. But then when I got off, like, there's a bunch of Juggalos running it, and they ran up to me, and he said, you said fucking Sabu! And I said, what? And I was like, you said Sabu! And I was like, you blew it! And I was like, I didn't blow it. And I literally, ran backstage, grabbed my duffel bag and my hat, and I dressed as, like, a shitty Paul Heyman, and I hailed a cab before Juggalos, fucking beat the shit out of me, and, probably would have, either, waterboarded me with fucking Mountain Dew or given me hepatitis. Right. I'm not sure. It was insane, though. Getting chased out of a ring by Juggalos.
That's bad times.
It was, and they've done that. They do that to a couple people,
Dude, they were at the StarCast last year, and we went to it, and we were in the audience, and they were ripping on people on, Shaggy Too Dope and the other guy. We're just going on.
I think Southern Poverty Law Center considers them a hate group, but it's hard to be a hate group when you're also on a rascal.
Yeah, right.
They're a hate group in the sense that everybody hates them. It's a different type of hate.
The comedian Michael Arn's here too.
Hey.
He's really funny.
But so talk about
that was crazy.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
I mean, in this indie shows now, people have to realize. This, first off, this isn't an indie show anymore. This is a company.
Yeah.
But indie shows when we were kids, me and Scott talked about this on our podcast. It was they were so much different. People who were getting into wrestling now, they were not what they are now. It was you saw a guy dressed as Doink at your high school beat up your dad.
Yes.
That's basically what every indie show. I went to an indie show when I was a kid. I talked about this before. And I was next door, and my cousins were like, hey, our wrestler's an indie wrestler. And I was like, oh, awesome. Yeah, you should come to the VFW hall and see this guy. And we got there, and we're waiting for him. I don't know what he looks like. And then all of a sudden, fucking German pride music plays.
Oh, boy.
And he comes out dressed as a neo-Nazi.
Jeez.
And my little cousins don't know what a Nazi is, so he starts Sieg-heiling, and then my cousins Sieg-heil back because they just oh, it's a fun thing to do with your arm. So I kept pushing it down.
Yeah.
And then apparently the next week my aunt saw him leave the house in a Klan hood.
What?
And this is in like fucking Lyndhurst, New Jersey. What the hell? So I mean, I would love to watch like a black cop pull over a guy in a Klan hood and have him explain that it's part of his gimmick.
No, it's my gimmick, man. You don't get it. You don't get it.
He's like, Lars? Is that you? Under there?
No, I think you're right about the doink thing, though, because I see doinks at the wrestling shows. My first wrestling show, there was a doink there. Yeah. And, like, you see him, like, wipe off the face paint. He looks like an accountant just, like, walking.
The Patriot. The Patriot is everywhere.
It's just like, yeah. Do you have a favorite, like, independent wrestling experience that you can just really stands out to you?
I mean, we had a great time last year. I mean, this isn't independent, but when I saw the Long Beach New Japan shows, I was blown away. And that was when Omega won I guess it was the New Japan US title.
I think it was.
It was unreal. That was super fun. Yeah, I mean, like, and doing stuff like this is great. I can't wait to see the show tomorrow night, unless I I don't know, piss off Oscar or Mo, and I'm not allowed in the arena or some shit.
No longer on a mission with them.
Oh wait, are they? No, they're still alive,
they're still
right?
Yeah, they're still going.
Okay, you never know.
Yeah, you don't know.
Check hourly here.
How about you, man? What's your favorite like independent experiences you have?
Well, my father would take me every time we'd go down the shore. My mother would force him to take me to a wrestling show, so that was always nice, seeing him get jealous of wrestlers who there's no reason to be jealous of them. That was a lot of fun. But also recently, there's a company that I think they're based out of Hoboken, New Jersey, Capital Wrestling, and they're just phenomenal, really great performers.
Yeah,
so I like seeing them. Sunny Kiss,
and Zach D'Amico both work for them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's the nice thing I like about like how wrestling is, the whole landscape, and it's kind of always been that way, but independent gets a much more focused spotlight on it.
Oh man, Scott, tell him this one story from WrestleMania weekend, the show that you saw.
All right, I don't know if I want to name the promotion, but they had a show at White Eagle Hall in Hoboken, which WrestleMania weekend there was like 4 shows a day at White Eagle Hall. Sure, yeah. Joey Janela and all those guys, and there was one show that started way too late, and we had to be out of there by 2 or 3 in the morning. They cut every match short. I think there was a Gangrel match that was 15 minutes long, but then like a David Starr match that was 30 seconds.
I know.
A Pentagon Pentagon match that was a minute and a half long. It was the worst show ever. And then when the show ended, someone went on the God mic and was like, "Everybody's got to get the hell out of here, or we can't do this tomorrow. Hurry!" Everyone ran for the door. It was just the worst experience of my life. A guy was crucified. There was a guy who was like, "I want my title shot," and the manager was like, "Over my dead body," and then he slit his throat, and blood went, fake blood went everywhere. This is the worst experience of my life. I brought my girlfriend. I was like, "Trust me, wrestling's cool." I was like, "Wrestling's cool again, baby. Don't worry about it." Nope, not there.
Nope. Yeah. Holy smokes.
Yeah, and then there was some guy, Scott was telling me at the beginning, like they crucified a guy who was just a fan, but then the fan was just crucified for the rest of the show.
Whole show.
So I was like, if you drank a big gulp and you got to piss, what the fuck are you going to do?
Right?
You know?
Holy smokes. No, I know there's been some wild experiences with that.
What's the crazy experience you've had?
Extreme Reunion in Philadelphia, like South in the Hampton. They did it at the Armory there. It was like Shane Douglas put on the show, and I just remember like it being they had Sabu was there, fought Matt Hardy, missed his table spots like he typically can do, and then he just could go and keep repeating it and stuff. Yeah. Finally, they did that, but every match, no joke, every match, they'd be like, "Can a doctor come to the backstage and help out?" It was like every single time. And like they set up this cage, they literally had to hold part of the cage together as the cage match was going on. They like tied it together with like string.
God.
They brawled. It was like in this, I can't remember who did that, but they brawled into the crowd. It was nuts. And they had this Eat the Turnbuckle, this like death metal pro wrestling gimmick themed, and they were like singing death metal in the corner, and some guy like fell off the top of the bleachers through a table and on. It was like, this is just ludicrous, and it lasted till like 1:30 in the morning.
That's just a step away from just like going in back of a Walmart and shooting a raccoon.
Right?
You know? Like it's like
just putting flyers up for that.
Yeah, that's close to that.
Right.
You know?
Holy smokes. Well, tell me more about your guys' podcast.
Yeah, well, we kind of, it's called Total Effin' Marks. We have some really funny comedians have been on, and wrestlers, everybody from, Dan Soder to Colt Cabana have been on the show, but we've kind of reformatted it now to make it more like the Pardon the Interruption of pro wrestling.
Sure,
so it's 10 count. We do 10 topics each week. We don't take anything that seriously. We are not Dave Meltzer. We give ourselves shit. We give, the business shit. But underneath it all, we're fucking marks, man. We love the product.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
That's the thing. As much as I can, make fun of it, like I'm still here selling no t-shirts and Psychosis had a line around the corner,
Yeah.
That's the reality of the situation. We love the business, and to just be a small tangential part of it, and Scott's been on Comedy Central, and I've done some comedy shit too, so it's like, we get some really funny people on it, and we also get some people from the industry, and you should add it to the queue of many.
Be my rotation.
Yeah, it's going to be it's a lighter look at wrestling.
Yeah.
So.
A genuinely funny podcast about wrestling, which is nice.
That's one other thing I want to talk to you guys about. Like, is that how I hear so many times that comedians and wrestlers, they kind of, it's a lot like from a promo aspect, or like just putting yourself out there is kind of like that weird balance. Have you kind of noticed
there's so many similarities. The only difference is they take the bumps on their bodies and we just take them from a key in the bathroom. I guess they do that too. The similarities. It's a carny lifestyle.
Sure.
Either way.
Yeah.
And there's a sad table at the end where you're selling a CD.
Hell, we're all a bunch of carnies right now.
We're all a bunch of carnies. Look at us.
Hey, I'm a carny.
Hey, you're the handsomest man in here. It's a low bar.
Right. Setting the standards really well. Well, let's tell them how you follow you guys on social media.
I'm at DS Germain on Twitter. I'm also Dan St Germain on Instagram, and Total F and Marks is on the All Things Comedy Network. You can get that on iTunes or wherever you get your wrestling podcast. So DanStGermain.net is where you have all my live dates, and I'm doing a bunch of touring this summer. Scott?
Yeah, Scott_Chaplin on Twitter and Instagram. Follow me. I post a lot, especially for the podcast. Especially come June, we're going to go full force, so it's going to be a lot of fun.